Liverpool have gone 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League table after beating Aston Villa by 2-0, and in this video we're going to be breaking down how they did it, including the tactical exploit they used to get themselves the win. I want to start by talking about Aston Villa because I think the amount of games that they're having to play is slowly starting to creep into the legs. The same as starting 11 or thereabouts is starting to feel it somewhat, and you could tell that by the energy in their performance. That being said, I thought Luca Dean down this left-hand side did a good job of allowing Ramsey to come in field. This is a standard Aston Villa operating procedure, and Ramsey did start to cause some problems, especially on the transition once they managed to get the ball back off of Liverpool. This really was quite an even game before we get to the moments that started to shift the match. I thought Morgan Rogers did quite a good job of drifting into space, and Ollie Watkins did make himself a nuisance on a couple of times, but too many times they lost the ball due to a poor quality touch, a poor quality shot, and sometimes the decision making just wasn't quite there, which will be frustrating for Unai Emery's side. But clearly they did find something in that Liverpool defence when regards to corners. Aston Villa actually had 9 corners in the match, and it was this avenue that I think they really wanted to look towards, getting their shots off and perhaps trying to make the most of those set pieces. We know that Aston Villa are very good at those set pieces, but that was actually the moment and the actual avenue that Liverpool looked to exploit them. Liverpool's best avenue for attack in this match actually was through defending their own set pieces, in particular corners. We know that Aston Villa had 9 corners this game, and this was arguably one of Liverpool's most dangerous avenues to go forwards. The ball gets whipped into the box by Tielemans, and then it's about whether Liverpool can clear their lines. They do manage to do that, and it eventually falls to Virgil van Dijk, who's running onto it. But clearly this has been an instruction from Arne Slot to try and isolate the space that's been given to them by the Aston Villa forward line, because they dedicate so many players forwards in these positions. In particular, you've got Luca Dean here, you've actually got Leon Bailey next to him. Because they dedicate so many players forwards to try and score a goal, it means that there is so much more space that's uncovered behind them. We see Virgil van Dijk trying to exploit this, and as he just clears it over, look at the Liverpool players on the right hand side. So you've got 1, you've got 2, you've got 3 who are just ready to go and take that space, and this is really important because look at the dynamic that it then creates. Look at the space that's being exposed by these Liverpool players, but also by the Aston Villa players overcommitting themselves forwards. These are the last 2 Aston Villa players here, and they're actually behind the halfway line, and then it's about the driving runs of these 2. Whether Mo Salah ends up getting fouled later on by Leon Bailey, you'll need to let me know in the comment section below, but it's really good work from these 3 players, and it's the dynamism and the driving runs that gives them the opportunity. It ends up falling towards Darwin Núñez, who takes a touch round Emi Martinez. It's really well done. You could argue it's a really poor touch, and I would understand why you would say that, but for Darwin Núñez, I actually think it's quite a good touch, and the reason I say that is because it makes his mind up. I think, and I'm sure a lot of other people think, that Darwin Núñez finds it difficult when he gets a lot of time afforded to him, and this could have been said for the same situation, but because he takes arguably such a bad touch, it doesn't give him too many options. He almost has to sky it towards the roof of the net to give himself a chance of getting round the goalkeeper. It just so happens that's exactly what he does. He fires it towards the roof of the net, and Liverpool go 1-0 up, but notice the fact that it was an Aston Villa corner that gave them the opportunity. And this will be real cause for concern for Aston Villa because we have it happening again. This is another Aston Villa corner, as we can see here. The ball is about to get whipped in by Luca Dean on that far side. It just so happens that it's on the other side. But look at this. You've got Jacob Ramsey and you've got Youri Tielemans. These are Aston Villa's last players, the final ones, and they're just outside the Liverpool box. I'm sure this is something that Arne Slot and his staff will have seen, and the ability to exploit that will have been something they really wanted to do, because you've got Mo Salah who's free, you've got Luis Diaz who's free. They're not going to be getting in the mix with regards to headers, but they can spin in behind and try to make the most of those offensive opportunities. So as the ball gets headed away and cleared away by the Liverpool defence, you've then got the option for these players to go forwards. It just so happens that it manages to find its way afterwards towards the Liverpool player, and they're off, and they're ready to go, and they're ready to break. Look, you've got 1, you've got 2, you've got 3, you've arguably got 4 with Curtis Jones who's making his run as well, and it gets played through into Darwin Núñez just on that halfway line, and look, you've got Darwin Núñez, you've got Youri Tielemans in a 1v1 sprint. It's clearly something they will have looked at. It's clearly something they will have worked on. And again, Darwin Núñez should be finishing this. But remember what I said about him having too much time. He has a little bit too much time here, and the touch is actually quite good, which gives him enough time to be able to work the opportunity, but he ends up missing. But it's again another crazy moment and a crazy opportunity for Liverpool from their own defensive set piece. You would have thought at this point Aston Villa would have learnt their lesson, but unfortunately for them, they did not. This is in the second half, and they are again whipping the ball into the box to try and score from a corner. Now, it needs to be said before we continue on to this, they did manage to get a couple of opportunities, and if it wasn't for a couple of good Kelleher saves, they probably would have scored a couple of goals. That being said, this is really dangerous. Look at this. It's terrifying. And they need to think about the way that they defend these set pieces and the way they defend their own offensive set pieces, because this is going to be a real indicator to a lot of teams as to how to really go about punishing Aston Villa for their directness and their offensive play. And we can see this here. So the ball gets played through, and you're going to find Mo Salah in running beyond yet again, and we can see this here. Look at this. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 onto 1. This is incredible, and I'm sure Aston Villa will not let this happen again, because this is incredibly dangerous. Mo Salah gets the ball, and then you've got a really good run from Luis Diaz. He's here, and he's going to try and play it round Ezri Konsa. It just so happens that in this moment, Konsa manages to intercept it, make a good tackle onto Diaz, but you guys can see the danger happening here. It's happened too many times, and clearly, like I said, this is something that Arne Slot and his staff will have worked on and will have told the Liverpool players to do, and this is something that I think is so very important about Arne Slot and this Liverpool side, because this is a real feature that used to be fantastic under Jurgen Klopp, and it's really good and impressive to see that Arne Slot hasn't changed this at all. They're still as dynamic as ever, but they still have those possession maintaining focuses that allows them to be such a good side. Brilliant. And finally, before we end, let's take a look at that Liverpool second goal. This time coming from a throw-in, not a corner, but still a time when the ball is out of play. It's seriously, seriously dangerous for Aston Villa, and this is how it breaks down. So you've got the ball being thrown into the box. This is later on in the second half, and it ends up being won by the Liverpool defenders right here. It gets ricocheted around the penalty area until it gets cleared by Dominic Szoboszlai, who is right here. It's not a penalty for me. Let me know if it is a penalty for you in the comment section below. I don't think it is, but it gets played out to Szoboszlai, who manages to then chip it over towards Mo Salah, and this is something that's really important. Look at Mo Salah here. Look at him making that run. The moment he sees Szoboszlai with the ball, he's then spinning around Tielemans to try and get a run. Again, isolating that space, exposing that space behind those Aston Villa defenders, behind those midfielders, because they know they can make players forwards. Just so happens that it gets headed back off of him by Carlos, and it's unfortunate. I understand. It's really unfortunate. It hits back off Salah, but sometimes you earn your luck. And I think Mo Salah did that in this situation. He ran as hard as he could to be able to get to that ball, and he's earned himself that slice of luck. And then it's about driving towards the Aston Villa penalty area, because this situation is by no means finished. Although Mo Salah is really quick, and although he's really dynamic, I still think the Aston Villa players have an option to really get back at him. And it just so happens that these two runs right here are incredibly important. And we're going to see that in just a second. As Mo Salah gets into the box and starts to enter here, you've got Ezri Konsa, who could make a recovery run right here. But look at the run of Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo. When Gakpo and Diaz manage to run into the box, I think it just takes away Konsa's attention. And in doing so, I think he thinks that he's going to be able to try and stop and try to intercept this pass right here. And that's crucial because it changes his running trajectory. And in doing that, it gives Mo Salah the option to put it onto his left foot and fire towards goal. If it wasn't for these two runs, I think Salah gets almost shuffled out of play, or even the shot gets smothered. Because of these two runs, it gives Salah the time, it gives Salah the opportunity to be able to take that shot with those extra moments, and that is brilliantly worked, by the way. It's unselfish, it's got the ability to try and give an opportunity. Yes, of course they want the pass, but it gives Salah an opportunity as well. Really, really good stuff by the Liverpool forwards, who look absolutely fantastic and in a brilliant vein of form. And as I said, they really carved through that Aston Villa defence and really exploited that space left behind on numerous occasions, and that man will be very, very happy, as I'm sure will be Liverpool fans, being 5 points clear at the top of the table. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. What did you make of Liverpool, and do you think they can go all the way this season? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.